across the table as it stands because Saudi Arabia and Egypt, that game is still going on in Volgograd, and it remains Saudi Arabia 1, Egypt 1, but a convincing victory for Uruguay over Russia. So Uruguay top the group and they will play the runners-up from Group B. Russia finish in second place thanks to their two earlier victories in the competition. So Uruguay and Russia advance from Group A, and they will await the result of this evening's matches to find out exactly who they'll be playing in the round of 16. And there are the scenes at the stadium. It's been a good group phase for Uruguay, and of course they have such a deep-rooted history of football. Winners of the first ever World Cup back in 1930, they went on and won it again in 1950, so twice winners, and it's a relatively small nation, only a population of around 3.4 million. And I suppose their most recent success came in South Africa, where they went as far as the semi-finals, went out at the round of 16 at the Brazilian World Cup 4 years ago when they went out to Colombia. But they're looking good, and a very good group phase. And we've been speaking about momentum in the tournament. We've been speaking about that winning habit. And Kevin, they certainly have that now. I mean, 3 wins, you can't argue with that in the group phase, can you?
No, 3 wins, 3 goals from set pieces. You know, it's Uruguay. They're not massively pretty, but impressive. 9 points, as Damien said at halftime, slightly under the radar. But, you know, that confidence, that momentum, as you say, it's an important thing. Yeah, and as Kevin mentioned, Richie, set pieces proving all important, and you know, they are going to be vital because teams are set up very well defensively. Although, having said that, Russia weren't set up too well defensively today, were they? They were disappointing.
They weren't. No, I think that Russia team with 10 players there resembled Russia with 11 in the Confederations Cup this time last year, which is why everyone was so negative about them in the build-up. They just looked as if they'd nothing of any quality going forward. They look a little bit flat. The second half petered out, and I think if you're looking for a lot of the ingredients that lead to a second half that just peters out, we had them all at half-time. A 2-0 score difference, a team with 10 men, both teams qualified to the next round. I wouldn't have imagined anything too frantic in the second half in terms of challenges or people getting unnecessarily booked because they're into the tournament. The good use of subs by both coaches. So it wasn't great entertainment in the second half, but a routine win for Uruguay. Solid defence, clinical in attack, no huge amount of frills in midfield, but a job well done. Yeah,
I suppose that's going to happen, Damien, towards the when we come to the end of the group phase, where both countries knew they were through, and that's going to happen in a number of the groups. There'll be other groups where there's an awful lot to play for. So was that a game today where maybe it's misleading us a little bit about Russia because they played so poorly?
I think the sending off killed the game, obviously. Again, small little details. I think over 50% of goals from the World Cup now are scored from set pieces this time. So it's an amazing stat. And again today, Uruguay, I think they scored off 2. And the third one, an OG off a deflection off a set piece. But, you know, Russia, they had a go. They went 2 up top when they're down to 10 men, so you have to hand it to them. A disappointing night, but if you're looking at it from the other point of view, Spain, Portugal or Iran, they could possibly get through. I think if they had to choose Uruguay or Russia, they'll all be desperate to get a top spot in their group because they'll all want Russia. Uruguay, dark horse, frustrating watch probably for the viewers, but listen, they get the job done. So I think they'll all be looking for first place, Spain and Portugal and Iran.
Yeah, well, it's a 100% record for Uruguay. They've taken the points against Russia this afternoon. Cavani got off the mark, and I tell you, there was nobody more satisfied with that Cavani goal than Kevin Doyle. You've been hoping that he'll prove his prowess in front of goal, and it took him a while to get going today, Kevin, but you know, he deserved the goal for his sheer persistence, to say the least.
He did. It was perseverance on my behalf and his behalf. Yes, I've talked him up now for the previous 2 games in the group, and today, again, I thought I was going to have to make excuses for him afterwards. But finally, it was a great header from Godin, and he's just followed up. He's kept going for 90 minutes today. Nothing was going right for him. And he's still there, 2 yards out to put in. The relief he'll feel tonight. You know, he's a big player, a lot of pressure on him in the World Cup. The difference between scoring a goal from 2 yards and not, in what we're talking about him afterwards, and in how he feels in himself, and in them going forward in the tournament, he's got the monkey off his back. He's scored in this World Cup now. He scored in previous World Cup, but he's got it off his back in this World Cup, and it bodes well for Uruguay.
Yeah, things are coming together because we've already established the fact that defensively they've done well, Kevin, and now both the goal scorers off the mark, which is exactly what you want at the major tournaments. Your strikers firing, and maybe that'll get Cavani going now in the competition.
Yeah, as I said, nothing was going right for him tonight. That goal, as I said, will get him going. Suarez has scored, he's scored. It was a tough evening for him. We've got some clips coming up here now, and it's only second half clips where nothing went his way.
Yeah.
He starts off with a free kick 5 minutes in. He took over from Suarez and into the wall. You know, it wasn't a bad strike, but it just didn't seem to be going his way. Here, this one, I really thought he showed a lack of confidence here. His turn was slow. You know, he's not bad on his left foot, he just doesn't want to swing it. It looks like he's looking to try win a penalty, get his body across when he could have just, you know, a guy full of confidence, a normal Cavani would have just swung his left foot at that and imagined him scoring. This one, he's got a lot of time to cut in on his favoured right foot, and it's a weak effort, and it's not what we're used to seeing week after week from Cavani for PSG. It's, you know, goal after goal. Here's another free kick into the wall, but he kept going and he kept trying. You know, he's working back. He's doing his best here. He lays to Suarez. Suarez is doing his best for his strike partner, trying to get him a goal. You know, normally Suarez.
And that's not like Suarez.
No, exactly. No. He's a greedy so-and-so. He tries to get his strike partner a goal, and you just think it's not coming. It's not coming for him. You know, he cuts. This is great footwork. Cuts inside onto his left foot this time and takes a deflection, and you can see his frustration. Keeps going, and gets it happening. For any young player out there, you know, you just have to keep going. He's a top player. This is in the 91st minute. He's got his goal. They're winning 3-0. They're through the group. And he's chasing right back into the corner flag to win the ball back for his team. At 3-0 up against 10 men. You know, he's a top player in the world at 29, 30 years of age. He's got 40-something international goals. For kids watching to see the effort that guy puts in, it's really impressive.
It's interesting, sorry Kev, that you mentioned confidence there. When I think Suarez, Cavani, etc., the top boys around the world, I always think, how can they be lacking in confidence? They're like demigods, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think with Cavani is not always having to go with the French league, but he won it in early April, so has he lost that little bit of edge? They won it in early April, but it was practically won at Christmas. And maybe with the games now in the World Cup, hopefully he'll get a good few more. He's slowly getting that sharpness back. That's the only thing I can think, because when I look at, I don't know, with strikers, confidence, like Robbie Keane, when I think of him, Doyle, I was thinking, them lads can't be short in confidence, because strikers, they always go around with this swagger. Maybe it's all the front, I don't know. But you look at Cavani, you think he's a confident boy, so I can only just blame the French league again.
He's got 26 goals this season, so you're right. He should be full of confidence. He's not shorter goals during the year, but just when in the first game of the World Cup, he hit the inside of the post. The keeper made a worthy save. You know, if he had got that goal in the first game from those, you know, two good pieces of play from him, you think he'd be off and running, and maybe you'd have seen a different guy in the second and third game. But you know, he's broke his deadlock. He's got the monkey off his back, and he's away. Those
signs are very good, Richie, aren't they? I mean, to see Suarez trying to set up Cavani to get him off the mark shows great unity. Also, the amount of work that Cavani did in that second half shows character. So a lot of the things that you look for in a team who might do well at a championship are beginning to emerge, aren't they?
They have a lot of the ingredients. They have a very, very solid defence. They have got like world-class strikers up front, and they've got two of them who link quite well, who now have both scored, but they have a work rate as well. And also they have the star players have that work rate, which I don't think you can say Messi or Neymar, for example, do the kind of, we would never have been able to show a 92nd minute still of those players running back to close down a full back when they're winning 3-0. And as well, they have a consistent style of play. There's no tinkering from game to game. We spoke before, would they change the formation? They didn't. The manager has been playing the same way for a long time. A lot of the ingredients there to do well in this tournament.
Yeah, and Luis Suarez, who celebrated his 100th cap the other day, Damien, with his first goal of this tournament. Now he gets his second. So things going well for Suarez too. Yeah,
I said he's been a bit hit and miss as well, to be fair, but clever that he's gone goalkeeper side. It's, you know, it's a bit like a game of poker. Is he going to go over the wall? Is he going to go there? But I still stand by what I said. Keeper, that little jump has actually killed him there. Just needless time wasting to actually get down to the ball. I said keepers do it a lot, but I'd point at the keeper, my finger at the keeper for the 3 goals. Definitely the third one, I thought he was very poor. He's just palmed it back into Cavani's path. And the second goal, which you'll see now, I think he's slow getting down to that as well. So don't be fooled. Like, he's the captain, he's 108 caps, but he's renowned for blunders.
Yes.
And I'd point the finger at him for the 3 goals today.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at that own goal again while we're talking about this.
OK. Which one? The own goal?
The own goal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He had very little chance on this now, in fairness.
No, he
slow
didn't.
getting across.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
But even if you look
Wicked deflection.
if you look at the replay from behind the goal now, if we were to draw a line, look, I think there's probably 3 or 4 players in the direct line of sight between the goalkeeper standing position and when the ball was originally struck. I don't think he could. You think he should have got that?
I think he takes a needless step there. That extra step again. It's that little fraction, split seconds that is the difference between getting to the ball. Shay will definitely be on to me now. I'm having to go with the goalkeepers union today.
But he's not here to back them
we
up.
have to point the finger at someone, so I'm pointing at Akinfeev for the 3 of them.
But even in the previous goal, Ignacevic's, you could see what he was trying to do. He's clearing the 2 Uruguayans out of the way so that his keeper can see the ball. But what that also does is clears those 3 obstacles, 2 Uruguayans and a Russian, out of the way for Suarez to have a clear hit at the goal. So it's kind of there's about pros and cons of doing that, but agree, that little jump from the goalkeeper was the thing that prevented him getting it. Because it wasn't against the post, it wasn't right in the corner. It was that momentary little jump that cost him.
Yeah, and we know from recent World Cups that a poor goalkeeper is going to cost you, and you're not going to go too far into the competition. But apart from him, Damien, what other weaknesses did you see in the Russian display today?
Listen, we've mentioned it before. We've spoken about Ignacevic. He was retired from international duty. He obviously comes back in. They've obviously rested a few today, the likes of Golovin, but their end product today, they were sloppy. Their final ball, this is just one of many. Godin in the second half, he could have sparked up a cigarette. They never really threatened. Here they are up the top end. Fernandez, fair play to him. He's come on. He's given them legs. He's obviously full-back. He's gone inside and tried to play a ball, but. This is what I mentioned the other night about Zuba. It has to be on the money with him. He doesn't have any movement in the box, and he checks. He's big, he's cumbersome, and this is him again here. Awful finish. Done well in the first 2 games, but like I warned, it's not one of them I told you so, but like I warned everyone, this is Russia. They're not going to get any better yet. They're running loads. For me, that's because they don't have an awful lot of the ball.
Yeah.
And the end product, yes, the first 2 games they scored 8 goals, some wonderful goals at that. But today they didn't have that X factor in the final thirds, and that being a fitting example there at the end. So listen, still big well done to them. They were written off before the World Cup. I think everyone was expecting Egypt and Uruguay to get through. So still all to play for. They're through, and they got a beautiful game against Spain, Portugal or Iran coming up.
Yeah, but it gets tough from here on in, though, doesn't it, Richie? I mean, they'll be found out, certainly if they perform anything like they performed today.
If they repeat that performance against anyone in the next round, their tournament is over. The coach made some changes. I don't know whether any of the speculation around their running performances had any impact on the dressing room or the manager beforehand, but the performance that they gave, even before the man was sent off, I wouldn't be too critical of them being overran or overplayed or lacking in attacking options when you're a man down against a Uruguayan team, which is very well set up, and you can't take your eye off the 2 front men. But even with 11 men, they were flat. They weren't great to watch. They weren't particularly effective. They didn't look like a team that was going to go and win this game. So they resemble today the Russia that we've been hearing about all year and saw about last summer.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And Kevin, prior to today's game, I mean, the nation was behind them. They were obviously buoyed by 2 excellent wins, it has to be said. But this really will take the wind out of their sails, won't it?
It will. They made 3 changes, and they were already through in their group. So you don't know, are they had to take the foot off the pedal, giving a few guys a chance, changing things up a little bit. So I don't want to write them off. They were very impressive, but impressive against the Saudi Arabia, who were, as it turns out, really poor. So you've good points and bad points. Today they weren't good, but if they repeat their performance against Egypt are a good team, and they really demolished them. So, I wouldn't totally write them off in the next round, but if you have to go on today's performance, it's tough to see them beating either Spain or Portugal.